Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another awesome Wednesday Humpty Hump Day, Wednesday Hump Day, Paranormal Brew. I'm your host, Taryn Kerper, and tonight I have one of my most favorite people in the paranormal community in the field, who's a pioneer. You all know him. I mean, he really doesn't need an introduction. Um, Mr. John Zaffis. We're not worthy. I love this guy. Um, it's funny because for the longest time, I was very intimidated by him and I was afraid to approach him for like the longest time. And then once I got to know him, he's just a big teddy bear. I love him so much. Um, I will say that we are going to talk about some topics this evening. We're going to talk about Haunted Collector. We're going to talk about his upcoming stuff. He's going to be at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. We're going to talk about Demonology. We are also going to talk about Annabelle. I am going to be watching the comments. I am not going to let anything disrespectful or negative come through into this onto my show. I never do, but being that John is a friend of mine, and I know the topic is sensitive. I want everybody to remain respectful and positive on my show. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to bring my most awesome guests on. Dun dun dun.
Catching me drink your coffee.
Always drink your coffee. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing good, trying to beat this heat. Uh, just got done packing up all my merchandise for this coming weekend, Gettysburg Bash. I love that. We have a blast down there. So,
Yes,
gonna be,
absolutely. It's
yeah,
going to be so much fun. It's going to be good to see you. It's going to be good to see a lot of the friends that are going for sure.
yes, yeah.
Um, yeah. So, so let's get into it. I mean, I know that most of the people that watch my show know who you are, but I didn't want to really say too much. I want you to, tell everybody like, I mean, you got into this when you were pretty young, what, in your teens, right? I mean, because you had your aunt and your uncle as mentors.
See, here's the crazy thing about with all of this. We lived 20 minutes south of where they lived. When we lived in the Bridgeport Stratford line, or to where we moved to where I am now. It's still always been like 20 minutes. It's crazy. But anyhow, years ago, back when I was learning to drive, we would get a learner's permit, and you didn't have to have anybody with you. So when I was 15 years old, I was driving all over the freaking place already. Didn't have to worry about it. My father used to say, "Leave the car there," but you were covered. It was a different world then.
Right.
So, my mom would always cook different dishes, and she would tell me, take this up for my brother, take this up for my brother. So, I would go to drop it off. Sometimes I would just throw stuff in their refrigerator. They weren't home. Other times they'd be there. They'd be getting ready to go someplace. And he would say, come on, you want to go? You want to go? And, I would jump in the car and end up going with them. You know, uh, Different locations, different places. Then it escalated from there. They'd be going, to go work on something. It was like being a kid in a candy store because you didn't know where you were going to end up.
Right.
I mean, at 16, 17, got to see, some different cases they were working on, how they did it. Then gradually they would be going to clearings and exorcisms. I've met rabbis Buddhists, priests, ministers, you name it, and I met them. Now, it's they're very controversial today. Let's face it.
Right, right, right,
Everything about those two is controversial. But I'm so used to it because they always were. They were
right.
all, right
Yeah,
from the get go. So it's not anything that surprises me when different things come up or different things. Anyways, that's how I ended up getting exposed to it. But I didn't always believe in a lot of this till I was actually 16 years old. It was a Wednesday night. At the foot of my bed. I had a sighting. It was transparent and shook its head back and forth. Well, I grew up in the '70s. I was a flower child. It was Wednesday night. I wasn't high, so I had school the following day. So, I ran down, told my mom about it. She goes, "Did it say or do anything?" And I went, it just stood there and shook its head back and forth. And, she goes, "Oh," she goes, "Johnny, that was my father." I go, "Well, Ma, how do you know it was your dad?" Because I was 4 when he died. I don't really remember much about him or anything. So, and she said he was a very stern person, didn't say very much, but he would always shake his head back and forth. And then a few days after that, my grandmother passed away and she lived with us. And, she would talk about the relatives being in the room and all this other different stuff. All that stuff started registering at that point.
right,
And I'm just like, wow, there's something to a lot of this. So I was, talking to my mother because my mother did not want me getting involved with this stuff. Now, even though her and Ed were twins, you know, she was petrified of the paranormal. She didn't like talking about it. She wanted nothing to do with it. Him, you go where, and you go running for it. But
right.
she said, "Tell my brother, tell my brother." So I went up and I was telling him about what had happened and everything, and I go, "This shit's real." And he looked at me and he goes, "Well, what did you think?" I said, "I thought you were just doing it. A quick way to make a buck. Doing the lectures and doing this and doing that." And he busted out laughing. He just started laughing. And that's when it really opened up. I started going to cemeteries. We had one of the most famous hauntings, Phelps Mansion. Not even 10, 15 minutes from my house. In the late 1800s, people came from all over the world to investigate it. So me and a couple of my buddies were on our bikes. We drove down to it and we're walking through it and everything. Heard all kinds of noises. Ran out screaming and yelling. And again, it was something interesting. That some of the sounds and some of the things, can I relate to them? 50 plus years later. Heck
Right.
yeah, some of that stuff does relate. So that's the beginning stages with the old man here.
That's that's uh that's awesome. Like I literally, I respect everything. For the longest time, you know, I I was telling everybody before I brought you in, like, you know, how and you're not intimidating, but for
I don't
some
know why
reason,
people say that all the time, and I bust out laughing. They go, "John, you're an intimidating person because you always get." I go, "I'm the farthest thing from the serious type of an individual that they go, well, that's the way you portrayed yourself, and that's the way." And I go, "No, I cut up. Actually, if I do get scared, I start cutting up and joking around even more." And I know Brian Cano. Brian will even tell you that. He goes, because they all call me Ziggity. And they'll go, "You can tell when Ziggity gets nervous or he's worried about something. He starts cutting up and joking around a lot more." And he would tell the production crew all that. And I would go, "Shut up. Don't be telling them that." So that's how you could usually tell how I go, "Uh-oh, there's something going on here, supernatural wise, that we got
right,
to figure out."
right. So, um, so you start getting to you start getting so when did the whole so I've never in all my years of because I trained under Dave Giuliano when I first started, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I know, at that point in time, there was a difference between like positive cases and then the negative cases. And but where at at some time at your point, like I always said, I don't want anything to do with anything with a pinkish hue color coming my way. Like I'm green all the way. Casper cases, nothing to do with any red flags or anything like that. Like, did you find yourself just naturally pulled into that direction, or were you?
Okay. Yeah, here's what's strange about all that. Even though, you asked me years ago if I was going to be talking and chasing Casper the ghost around, I would tell you you're freaking nuts. My background is in pharmaceutical. I was involved with a U.S. surgical, big corporation that used to make a lot of surgical instruments and stuff, and worked my way up. I got involved with engineering and developing. The laparoscopic things they use today. I was involved with the developing of those many years ago. So, it's so cool to see that now with that. Anyhow, so picture that the company downsized and everything. I left being ahead of everything with the stuff involved with making up blueprints, schematics, and all that other stuff, and started chasing freaking Casper the Ghost around. Who would think, right?
Right.
So here I got more involved with it, and the more you get involved, because again, I understand it when somebody says to me, I never seen nothing, I've never experienced anything. You talk about these jinn and demons and all these other things, I've never experienced it. I don't know why certain people do and certain people don't. So I think some of it has to do, you know with what is happening with an individual. Yes, I mean, when you get involved with the demonology end, I really didn't think I was going to get involved with it, really. You
Right.
know, but what intrigued me and what pushed me towards it was Warren, or everybody calls him that. I always used to call him Warren when nobody was around. I
Right.
always called him by his real name. Now, wait a minute. I want to address that because a lot of people keep bringing this up too. His name was, Warren Miney. And people said, "Oh, he changed his name." Everybody in freaking Hollywood changes their freaking names. And what they used to hate, and my mom even used to say it, they wouldn't say Miney, they would say Minnie. And it
Oh.
used to drive him nuts. I can still remember to this day when we were sitting in the house, and my uncle started telling my grandmother, he says, "I'm going to switch my name around." She goes, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm serious. And Lorraine was standing there going, oh dear, because my grandmother was a little powerhouse. She was a whoa, well, freaking firecracker that 5-footer was. But anyhow, I tell you, you got her going and you got out of her way quick. But anyhow, she goes, that wasn't your name, blah 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 blah. He explained it, and it's funny. I can remember it. I can remember it so clear, and it's a stupid thing to remember. But I
Right.
remember how upset she got. She
Right.
said, "No, you go by your birth name, your birth name." And he explained it all to her. And anyways, that's how that all came about. And I was like, why do people even question that when so many other people, that are in entertainment or anything, change their names? It's never really. I don't know. I never really thought it was that big of a deal. But
Right. Right.
anyways, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Even though their name was Miney, people would call him Minnie, and he would get all upset over it.
Do you think that's one of the reasons he did change it because of that?
Yeah, oh, I know it was. That's what he said.
Oh.
Even
Okay.
in which what was kind of odd was because even back at that point in time, my mom even said something to my grandmother. She goes, "Ma," she goes, "everybody calls us Minnie." Well, you correct them. That's all you do. You don't change your name. Okay, like I said, she was 5 foot. What a little. Oh, she was
Firecracker.
unbelievable. She'd get right up in front of you, look up at you. Boy, you didn't want to mess with her. But hey,
Wow.
so
What's your what? I have to tell you, you give me like this Italian vibe. Are you Italian?
I'm Greek, but I'm married to an Italian, so it's just the same.
I see. Good. Yeah, you talk with your hands, and the way your accent sometimes sounds a little Italian. I'm half Italian, so when you're like saying "ma" and this and that, it's like that's what I'm used to hearing when I was growing up. So I was like, that's why I was like feeling a little Italian. I wasn't sure if you had Italian in you.
No, actually, I got Greek, Polish, and Slovak in me. Egyptian. What else? Greek. The Greek part of me. That my father's side of the family was all Greek. My mom and Ed were Polish and Slovak. So I'm like most of us out there. We're all mutts with all the different nationalities in us. So, but again, yeah, I'm a very animated individual with the hands all over the place when I speak and everything. So again, Greek or Italian, same difference.
Yeah. Um, so, so let's talk a little bit about let's look at this. Everybody's saying they're hearing something. I hear it too. Um, I don't know what it is. I keep on plugging my microphone in and plugging it out, and
Okay, wait a minute. Is it stopping?
yeah.
It's the air conditioner. It's haunted.
Oh, they're blaming it on me. They're like, when Taryn talks, it's Taryn. You can blame me. You don't have to blame John. It's my fault.
Now you can blame me. It's the air conditioner.
um. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about and I just want to get your thoughts a little bit about the Annabelle sensation, is what I want to call it. Yes, unfortunately, with recent events. Now, what you guys don't understand is me and John planned this a while ago. And originally we were going to talk about Annabelle, but given with the untimely passing of Dan Rivera,
Yeah.
uh, we figured we wouldn't delve too much into the Annabelle situation because everybody's on such a big high. Like it's like this big, huge PR sensation. It's crazy. But let's talk a little bit about because I mean, people are blaming her for people are blaming her for the prisoners escaping. People are blaming her for plantation burning down. People are blaming her for the 911 system going out. You know what I mean? Like, and there's all of a sudden there's all this like media attention. Annabelle's been around for. I mean, when did your aunt uncle?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, condolences
Yes,
to Dan Rivera's family. I mean, the poor guy was, he's 54 years old, and
right,
he had a little one, Michael. I mean, again, it, looking at things, I don't believe in wishing anything like that on individuals because, again, it is what it is. But like I said, my condolences are out to
absolutely.
Dan's family and everything. So,
Yes,
and he was very passionate about being involved with some of the different things. But uh, the Annabelle doll, I mean, I don't freaking think I've ever seen anything hit like it did with the beginning of this week. You couldn't turn anything on or look at anything that it wasn't being covered.
right,
About the Annabelle. But you have to go back to the roots of what the whole thing is. Okay, there's there's so many different dates that got switched around. There's so many different things that took place with the story of Annabelle. I'm going to give you what I knew from the beginning, my version that
okay,
I was told as little Johnny. Okay,
right,
they did the investigation 71, 72, give or take. I don't know. It's changed everywhere. But they evidently had gotten a telephone call from a minister friend of theirs. The minister was telling them about this doll was wreaking havoc with these two girls that were studying to be nurses in Hartford, Connecticut. Blah, 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 blah. He talked to them and everything. He got Ed and Lorraine involved with it. They allegedly did a spirit communication. I don't know now if it was with a medium or with doing a Ouija board session, and allegedly it spelled out. I say allegedly now because I'm telling you, it's just so crazy with everything. It is.
yeah,
Yeah. It spelled out Annabelle. They allegedly had found out there was a girl named Annabelle that got killed somewhere on the street or somewhere in the area, and thus Annabelle's story got born. Supposedly scratched the boyfriend. They removed the doll. They brought it home. It was in their living room. But back in the day, again, what is known as their paranormal museum today didn't exist as a museum back in the early 70s. It was an
right,
art studio.
okay,
They used to teach people art. So, there were tables in there and everything. And I used to go once in a while to learn how to paint because I used to paint on the wood also too. But I stopped doing it years ago. But anyhow, I'm getting to be an old person. I jump all over the place. But
Listen,
anyhow,
that's not old.
so it advanced as time was going on. A priest friend of theirs had come over to visit. He bought a brand new car. I'm drawing a blank with his name right at this moment. And, he's showing him the car and everything. He picked it up, threw it, and he said he didn't believe in any of that stuff. Ed did tell him, don't do that. You're basically challenging it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that did occur. He did leave. He was going home. He did get into a car accident. Blah, 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 blah. That did occur. To my knowledge, that's going back before anything was famous or before the books were out or anything when some of that stuff took place. Now, there's also another story about a person getting killed on a motorcycle. I know there was a kid that challenged it, a big hulky kid. And this was already after they already had the museum established in the 70, I want to say 72 or 73 is when I think they established the museum in the art studio out in back of the house. Anyways, the kid allegedly had challenged it. I remember hearing a story. The kid, got into an accident. I don't remember it where anybody got killed. I don't remember that. I
Right,
just don't.
right,
Now, there's been several other people over the years that have had issues. I can tell you this: when I was in there with him a lot of different times, when we'd be talking about stuff or doing something, I'd be, going around looking at stuff, and I'm just going to tell you the way he would talk. Don't touch the goddamn things. Don't be going near those things. And he would always say, "Don't take that. That can't come out. That's got to stay in there. That's got to stay." And I go, "Why? Why?" And he would go, "It has to. It just got to stay in there." All right, this is it. And then it evolved from there. And now you got all these crazy stories. It's shutting off the electricity, buildings up. Oh my God, you name it, and now it's all going on.
right.
So, are some of these things coincidental? Good possibility. Are some of these things a good possibility tying in? Yeah. I do believe in the law of attraction and recognition. I mean, I only know of two dolls that get this amount of recognition: Annabelle and Robert the doll.
Right,
And I've had the opportunity, obviously to be around Annabelle many a times, but also Robert the doll.
right,
Years ago, I had met him down at a Taps Paracon in Florida. They had it there.
right,
So again, two famous dolls, and I've had the opportunity to be around them. So the story has grown and it's escalated to what we deal with today. But like I said, I do believe in the law of attraction, the law of recognition. I believe very strongly in energy. Can this particular rag doll or rag dolls, whatever, there's so much controversy over all that too. Good possibility that things are occurring and happening now. There's no doubt in my mind that things are going to happen. They're going to occur. I mean, it's just you know the way it just lined all up there. How can you not take that step back and look at the big picture? Down in Gettysburg, the poor guy drops dead at 54 years old. I mean, we don't know what the circumstances are or not. Again, around July 4th, when one of the biggest, I mean, in an old orphanage, all this is all tied in and everything. I mean, it's a freaking phenomenal story.
right.
You think
Yeah,
about it. It,
yeah,
it is.
yeah. And
So,
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's been, I mean, Annabelle's been around since the 70s, and now
yeah,
all of a sudden, she's a celebrity.
yeah.
She's a national celebrity.
Right. I mean, again, a lot of that has to do with the TikTok. TikTok went absolutely crazy when they started taking it out on the road and doing the different things with it, and it exploded from there. So again, I mean, like I said, now it's to the point where it's just so freaking wild
Yeah,
with everything that's occurring and everything that is happening with it. Me personally, it's always creeped me out. I'm not going to tell you it hasn't. It's just those. It's a cute little Raggedy Ann doll, but again, the fear got put into me before it had any celebrity to it.
Right.
Before
I feel
it,
that. I'm afraid of dolls. So I'm afraid of dolls just because I'm afraid of dolls. You know what I mean? And
yeah. So
I'm superstitious. So, like, if I was ever to meet Robert the doll, I would be afraid of him. And I would be like, do all the things you're supposed to do because I'm superstitious, not because, like, I necessarily believe that there's like a demon inside of it, but like, I'm just superstitious. And I'm like, I would be that guy that, you know, I don't do what I'm supposed to do, and then something happens to me, and right away, and then your mind takes over. Then everything bad that happens, you're blaming the doll.
that's again, when I take the step back, I'm so used to it, Terry, with everything.
Right.
Not just the doll itself, but any movie that's ever been made out there. I mean, Amityville. What's the other crazy one? Oh shoot,
The
I'm
exorcist,
forgetting. The Entity, all the. I mean,
entity.
yeah. I mean, the Exorcist. That scared the shit out of me. I remember I couldn't sleep for 2 days after watching The Exorcist. But then again, I was 15, 16 years old. But and then when you start realizing it, things come to the forefront of all the different things that got changed. It really wasn't a little girl; it was a little boy, and he played with the Ouija board. With his aunt, and allegedly there was a lot of things happening. There were definitely clergy involved with that, and there's no doubt on some of the factual things that occur. But the whole story got changed. Where am I going with this? The simple fact that I don't know of any supernatural, paranormal movie that got made that everything didn't get freaking flip flopped all over the place.
Right, right.
I sit and watch them and I just go, the hell are you? I don't know why they do what they do. I can't answer it, but that's what they do. And how they always have, they always will.
Yeah, it's entertainment. They want it. They want the entertainment aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
that's the legend of the Annabelle doll. That legacy, I think, will go on forever and ever now.
yeah, I know. Now it's definitely gonna. I mean, like, I just cannot believe how. I mean, it's crazy to me, that like here it is, like, it's an everyday thing for us in this small little field. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing E News and ABC and NBC and Fox and all these people reporting on Annabelle. And I'm like, how is this going outside of the paranormal community? Like, to me, you know what I mean? Like, for so many years, it's just been so contained with us. You know, and
Big, but you got to remember that's before everything hit. Like it is today. You got TikTok and
right,
X and everything else. Media. Everything is media driven today.
yeah,
I mean, nothing can happen anywhere without. I mean, 12 o'clock Sunday night, I was already my phone was blowing up, and we were sitting watching TV. And my wife looked at me. She goes, "What's going on? Your phone is dinging like crazy." So I picked it up and looked at it, and I went, "The hell's everybody talking about?"
yeah,
And everybody's going back and forth. About what had happened to Dan down in Gettysburg and Annabelle, blah, 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 and everything else. And I was just like, this is crazy. Then by Monday, I mean, it was
yeah.
like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was just nonstop, talking to people, going back and forth.
I mean,
And
like, people started messaging, like, people not in the paranormal community, but like people like
yeah,
patients that have my number, from work, or family members that have no idea. They're like, "No, did you see this? Did you see this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I saw it."
I know.
I know what's going on.
Well, I think here's what happens with me, and this is a running joke. I tell people this all the time. I get up in the morning, I get my coffee ready, I look over at my wife, I go, "All right, let me go see what's going on, what's happening in the realm of the paranormal drama." I mean, then I'll turn the computer on. John, did you see this? John, look at this. John, look at. John. It's like I don't have to go look at anything. People send it to me.
I know, me too. Me too.
Yeah, so it's like okay, and then everybody goes, "Well, you always know everything." I go because everybody sends me everything, so I automatically know about it right away. So when somebody calls me or anything, I go, "Yeah, yeah, I already seen it. I already heard about it."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the fact of it when it comes into a lot of that stuff. So back a little bit to the demonology
Yes.
because you wanted to know what really got me involved with it. The biggest part of it was watching so many different spiritual people perform rituals. When I say that, Buddhists, rabbis, ministers, shamans, medicine men. And I was exposed to that through the Warrens. And that's how I got to meet so many of those people years ago and watching the different things. And I remember at one point in time, I was sitting and I looked at my uncle and I said to him, I said, there's got to be something to all this. You know, all these different spiritual people have these rituals they do to help people. And he would just look at me and he smiled. And then he started laughing and he would just shake his head up and down. Then, as it started advancing, I got to be friends with some of their clergy friends and stuff. You know, a
Hmm.
lot of people, you know, again, I hear this a lot of times. Oh, he wasn't involved with any of the priests or anything. Well, I'll tell you what, these guys, 5 or 6 of them would be sitting in their freaking living room with their collars and everything on, talking about cases, talking about this. Sometimes when I'd go up the house, I'd be like freaking thrilled to death to
Right.
be able to hear some of these conversations that were going back and forth with them. Lorraine's running in, getting coffee, bringing it back in, and they're in there talking with, Ed going back and forth and everything. I've seen this several times. So when people say they didn't even work with the church or, any religious people, no, they did. I saw it.
Right.
I experienced it. I witnessed it. So
Right.
anyhow, that's what intrigued me, and it still intrigues me to this day because there's so many things we don't understand. And people say to me, "What rituals really affected me?" And I'm Roman Catholic, Judaism, watching the Buddhist, watching shaman, amazing, amazing ceremonies performed that were able to help people or do something, with a home or something, again, to help people. And
Right.
that's what keeps me going. I mean, all these different things that, watching that happen. I mean, today it's like, Satan's coming up through the freaking floorboards and everywhere. That doesn't happen. It
Thank
doesn't
you.
go that way.
Thank
You
you.
know, it,
Right.
so again, when dealing with it, there's far and few in between. I think more human spirit cases I deal with than I do demonic ones.
Right.
But people don't want to hear about Casper the Ghost. You
Right.
know, Aunt Tilly came in and she was talking to me. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear about somebody getting thrown across the room or levitating or something.
Right.
That's what
Right.
people want to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in all your years of doing this, have you ever seen um, anything that could possibly be not human? Not
Absolutely.
see it, but like it maybe in a client or something like that. Like, have you ever been involved with a case that um, you know you could have deemed not negative, past the negative line, like more on the not demon, but
Uh, yeah, I think you're asking me. True. Did I ever really see where I thought something where a person was truly possessed?
yeah, or there was a demonic force or a you know uh, it's so hard to because like you said, it's not how it used to be, right? So the verbiage nowadays that people use is like I never know what right words to use.
I don't either.
But
I, half of the time I don't know because I listen to some things and I'll go, "What the hell are they talking about?" I don't. But anyhow, do I believe that the negative exists? Yes,
yes,
I believe in the fact of jinn. I believe in the deities. I believe in devils and demons. These things exist. They do. Again,
Now,
a
see, right, just right there, you said devils and demons. Are they different?
yes. Now,
Okay,
why I say they are different is because when Christianity got established, basically they absorbed deities and the jinn, a lot of them that had their names assigned to them. They switched over to devils and demons. Now, do I believe in the fact that there is a situation, quote unquote, where devils, demons exist and could be created, if you will?
right,
And looking at that where it inhabits and coexist and could mask itself with several different things. Yes. Why do I believe that? I've seen where ministers or priests have, quote unquote, called out what we refer to as mainly demons. Usually, if you have anything of the hierarchy, you know, you're really not going to see it. Running joke with me is if Satan ever comes up from hell, I'm the hell out of here. I ain't messing with that.
right, right,
That's the big boy. But anyhow, when they call upon it and call it forth with its name and religious provocation, which a lot of us call deliverance or, quote unquote exorcism, and you see reactions or people start giving you information that they're not privy to. Now, today it's a little bit different because of the internet, but again, when that would occur years ago, or start telling you about family members or telling you about different things, that made you take a step back and look at things.
right,
Again, uh, it occurs, it's happened, rare, but it does occur and does happen. I'm very guarded when I get involved with, a case on a negative level.
hmm,
So, and a lot of times people say to me, well, why aren't you saying a demonic case? Because it's negative. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the negative first to find out what is exactly occurring and what is happening. So, therefore, I there isn't too much out there I don't believe in.
right.
I mean, shoot, I even sat looking for the Loch Ness Monster one freaking night. And came back to pick us up when we were all sleeping along the shore. He pushes all of us. He goes, "Did you see it?" And I went, "No." He busted out laughing. So again, all those different things. I don't rule anything out because I don't know.
Right. The
I
universe is
don't.
endless. The universe
It's
is endless.
yeah, it's endless on the possibilities of so many different things.
Yeah,
But that's what keeps me going. And
right,
I keep looking and it's like, three-quarters of the things I've been through or witnessed or anything like that, I laugh at it because people aren't even going to believe it.
right.
They don't. They think, a lot of times. So there's a lot of things when dealing with, quote unquote, the demonology into this field, I don't go too deep into it because people look at me and go, he's just making up stories. So, but
Yeah.
that goes with the demonology field.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, that's because you had so many people, that have come out that really are demonologists, and you know what I mean? And then people figure, so I mean, it's the same thing with paranormal investigating. You had all the, I think somebody said something in the comments earlier, it's the fake YouTubers that totally have made this field look, like a mockery, the people that fake things. And, so everybody starts to question it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so
Go ahead, ask. Go ahead. What about it?
so do you believe objects can be possessed by things, or do you think they just hold energy?
I believe both.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the majority of the items that we have, jewelry, clothing, Aunt Tilly's piece of furniture or something, that's usually energy that's attached to it. And, a person can be a very strong, dominant person. And, especially something that's old. You know, okay, let's take a bracelet. Years ago, people couldn't afford things. And if grandma had something like that, that meant the world to her. They
Absolutely.
didn't have anything. So
Right.
again, will their energy remain with something like that? Yeah. When you start dealing with religious items or occult items, that's done with intent and purpose. Things are deliberately sent towards it to make it be usable in different types of, you know, rituals, if you will. Um, so therefore, when you touch something like that, would I go a little bit more closer to saying that's actually possessed because it was done with intent and purpose? Yes. Just like religious items, Bibles and crosses and things like that. You know, the original intent is, uh, to be used, in a positive kumbaya way. But a lot of times those get used in a negative way. I have a rosary bead that came from a Satanist, and he used to do the rosary in reverse to mock everything. So,
Mhm.
I mean, these things are wild when you get involved with it. And that case where that rosary bead came from, my goodness, very, very, very good friend of mine, Adam Bly. Um,
Mhm.
Today he heads up the whole institution with the Roman Catholic Church with teaching and a lot of that with that. But anyways, him and I had worked on that case, and I still remember that after we had left, and we had a priest with us, and he did what he needed to do and everything. We ended up going to a bar because we had Adam just wanted to sit there and pound down a few drinks because he was trying to accept the fact that all this just went down. So again, when you go through all that and you see the process of a lot of that and you witness it, it changes you and alters you. I no longer have an interest in proving anything. I don't. There's nothing for me to be benefit. There's no benefit for me or anybody else out there to try and prove that something exists that I can't prove exists.
Right.
It's the supernatural. So
Right.
thus, again, 2025, we have no more answers today than we had, 50 years ago.
True.
Seriously.
True.
Now we have a lot of
If anything, we have more
intrigue.
questions.
I say that all the time. I go, the more that, transpires, the more that happens. But what intrigues me more than anything is all the equipment and the data everybody's collecting. That's very important because someday we'll be able to chart that. Because when somebody says to me, I don't have, John, I went and did this case, but I got no scientific proof. What scientific proof? It's not proven out scientifically. Our
Right.
work isn't scientifically proven out.
Right.
So, and people go, huh? But they think because they're using the equipment, they're proving something scientifically. No. You have to have repeatability. It has to get charted. That's the engineer in me. And, to be able to prove things out and have repeatability. If you don't have that, you don't have anything.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
I think it's important to gather all this information because someday, fingers crossed before I'm Casper, it'll get proven out. That's what
Before I'm Casper, I love it. um, Jing has a question. She's from Indonesia.
I. Mhm.
So we're getting watching Indonesia. So I'm going to read her question. People will naturally ask you about paranormal incidents related to ghosts or spirits. As a demonologist, what do you think about the Holy Spirit when we pray or doing worship and suddenly experience supernatural incidents such as a voice? Um, Hold on. I don't know why this thing cuts this off, so I'm going to read the rest of it. But the voice of Holy Spirit or the verses appear in vision or a message, and then the truth is proven by a subsequent incident.
Ooh, that's good.
Do you believe?
Okay. Yes. The power of prayer, the power of chanting, the power of humming. I've been witness to so many of these different things when they occur and when they happen, then a message might come through or something might happen. Now, with Buddhists, they have a person that literally opens themselves up and they let the spirit come through to channel through the spirit and they get message. I mean, it's phenomenal to watch it. So, anyhow, that was, I remember one particular case, it was Reverend June. And the disciple chat came through, was able to give us information, and right at the end of it and everything, there was this big popping noise. Well, that's very, very common
Oh yeah.
with yeah, and people don't realize that it's a popping sound, like a crackling sound. You know that sound you'll hear after firecrackers or something?
Yeah.
That occurs a lot of times when something supernatural will occur. I've had that happen at least 20, 30 times in different scenarios. So I believe very strongly in that because I believe very strongly in the power of the collective coming together, whether chanting, praying, it works. It helps, and messages do come through. I believe so strongly in that.
Yeah. And you were saying you still get private cases, right? I mean,
Yes, yeah.
I,
I still work on them. I don't go out like I used to. You know, again, I work with a lot of paranormal groups. I work with a lot of different spiritual people out there. I do go out on cases, but again, it's not like you know, years ago where boom, 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 you go out.
yeah, I know.
Now, no, number one, it costs too much. It costs a lot between gas and tolls and stopping to grab a bite to eat. And if you have to rent a room, there's another $200-300 right there.
Right.
So you're talking. It costs people a lot of money to do this today. Compared to us, we go out, spend $100, and we'd be doing good and getting a couple of beers afterwards. So we'd be in good shape.
Right.
But
Right.
anyway, you know, no, I still get. I'm working on 3 cases right at this moment.
That's awesome.
So again, it's I will be getting involved with something. Driving. I don't know what it is. Every time I freaking go to Gettysburg, I get involved with a case. I think I was telling you that about that.
Yes.
And again, this situation 3 or 4 days ago, I went, here we go, got a telephone call, and on my way down, or maybe on my way back, I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to be working on a case, and it ties in with an item, a portrait of a haunted person.
I got to tell you, I'm an antiquer. I have
Mhm.
so many antiques, and I love medical antiques, and I love all these like cool. You get some. I mean, not for nothing, you got some pretty cool shit on your show. I mean, people will get.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, you would get some pretty now, minus the punching or the energy behind it, but like there's sometimes where I mean, like, and I remember the one episode you guys found a pistol under the porch.
That was our first episode.
That
That
was
was down,
great.
where the hell were we? Down south. I know that. I met Louisiana or somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy, crazy case. And it was just nuts. The other guy had the gun, the other guy threw it underneath, and this whole crazy thing got involved with it. But again, when the episode aired, they showed me taking it or bringing it back to Connecticut on the airplane. No, I did not have the gun in my freaking suitcase on the airplane. Really? Again, they had to go through clearance. They had to, ship it with the other stuff. It could not go in my personal bag where I was carrying it. The police were involved with that case. They didn't want to show all that.
Right.
Why? I don't know. I thought that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But the police weren't actually investigating it and involved with it. So again, the gun had to go back. It's not here in the museum because it was involved with a couple of cases that were still active. They were working on
Wow.
that they felt it was tied in with a couple of the different people.
Wow. That's pretty
So
cool.
yeah, it's crazy,
That's
crazy, crazy.
I mean, things like that. Things like that are cool. Like, especially when you can help law enforcement out
Yeah,
with something. Um,
yeah,
I was just watching this. I love true crime documentaries, and
fantastic. Yeah,
yeah, and one of the really quick, one of the episodes of I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, and one of the episodes they filmed at a baseball stadium. I think it was Yankees Stadium, and this guy had his name cleared because he was in the stands, and they found him in show episode. You know what I mean? So I think things like that are really cool. Um, of all your haunted collector episodes, what was the one that left the mark? The one that you felt.
Well, that would be the one in Joplin, Missouri. We had gone down shortly after that big tornado came through and wiped everything out. This one family, 3 generations, they had a haunting that broke out and they had tons and tons of antiques in the house. So let me address that before we move in. People say to me, well, every episode was about a haunted item. Well, we weren't going to talk about possession. It was called Haunted Collector. We were going to do haunted items. So somebody says me something like that, I go, but anyhow, this Joplin, Missouri case, we had gone 3 generations were involved with the recovery and helping out a grandmother, the son-in-law, the daughter, the kids, and you know they felt that something was happening in their home in conjunction with some of the things that happened. Well, then they thought it was a particular mirror that was causing the problems on a staircase. This case, we had brought Chip Coffee in. And again, Chip was walking around. He walked down the staircase and he knew nothing. I didn't tell him anything. I don't think anybody on the crew told him. He goes, there's something in this area right around here. And I go, you are freaking picking up on it. I go, they think there's something with the mirror. And Chip looked at me. They didn't ever put his hands on it. And he just said, I am definitely picking up a tremendous amount with the mirror. So, anyways, we were just going through everything, working on anything, and talking to everybody. And we came to the end of the doing the research and everything. And I fought tooth and nail over this one. I go, it's not the mirror, it's spirits. There's a tremendous amount of spirit that's tied in with this family. So,
Right.
we were talking to the son in law, and the man had broken down crying when I was talking to him. And he said to me, John, I just feel so guilty. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I was helping a gentleman that was impaled and told him to hang on. I was holding his hand, hang on. He said, I'm here. He says, you're not going to die. He said, I let him down. He died. And I said, you didn't let him down. He didn't die alone. He had somebody there with him, and that was you. I said, so you were able to help. Well, him and I are standing there crying like freaking babies at
Right.
this point because he goes, John, I never thought of it that way.
Right.
I go, you did help him.
Right.
Anyhow, this whole thing played out through this. I mean, the film crew started crying. Everybody was crying at this, when I was doing the reveal.
Right.
So we got it all wrapped up and everything. And I was emotionally drained from the whole thing,
Right.
seriously. So
Naturally.
we were packing up. We had to leave to get to our next shoot. We got to the next location. I got very, very sick. And I was up in the hotel room and I was just vomiting everywhere. I couldn't move. I finally was able to grab the phone, my phone. I had it on the and I was able to push it. I finally was able to get a hold of my son Chris. And I kept screaming, "Help! Help!" Well, he went downstairs and got them because he was banging on the door and I couldn't answer the door. And they opened up the door. The room was covered in blood and vomit. I mean, everywhere. I wish they had. Wait a minute. I think Brian took pictures, but he's never shown them or anything. You look like a murder scene. Well, anyways, I ended up in the hospital because I got so sick and everything. I ruptured something from vomiting so much.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so we got everything taken care of, and we went to the. We were working on the next location and everything. And I remember to this day, I'll never forget it. I turned and looked at my senior producers at that point in time, which was Rick Sasson and Keith. And I said to them, you realize this is tied in? And they both looked at me and they go, what do you mean? And I go, he was talking about the guy that was impaled and how he died and everything. I think it affected me like that. They freaked out. They freaked out. They just freaked out. They
Yeah.
go, you're freaking us out with this stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyways, to this day, that's been the most profound episode that we ever did.
Yeah.
That affected me to the point of where it just
Physically affected you.
physically and mentally affected me. That whole case really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you still do it. And how, like, I remember when I had my preternatural training. And again, this was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But, one of the things was, you have, if you're going to get involved with this kind of stuff, you have to protect your family at home. Just because
Mm-hmm.
just because you're going out and you're doing the cases doesn't mean that, you know, this power, for lack of better description, I'm going to just call it a power. This power, can either come home with you or affect the people at home, that while you're on the case, have you ever experienced anything like that with, like, does your lovely wife, has she ever been like, when you going to hang this up?
Oh, she's always telling me to get the hell out and go look for a ghost. But hey, no, I was fortunate enough to grasp what I had several spiritual people try to teach me at a young age and what my uncle used to tell me. Because here's again, this is where I take that step back when I hear people saying, oh, Ed taught me all this and he taught me demonology and told me different things. He would just give you the basics to be able to get yourself by. He didn't go into depth on what he did with demonology.
Right.
And if anybody says it to me, I'll tell them, dude, I know that didn't happen. I know what he would teach and what he wouldn't. But anyhow, they would always tell me, keep it separate. You got to keep it separate. And I go, how in the world can you do something like that? But then, I was, very fortunate. And I know this and I understand that as far as my wife and my kids always went, I was missing birthdays and missing different things being out doing cases. And my wife always had a good understanding of it because I did this before we even got married 46, 47 years ago, whatever the hell it was. But anyhow, so she's always, you know, she'll talk to me more now than she used to years ago about certain things that, or if we're watching something, she'll go, does that really happen? And I go, you don't want to freaking know. Yeah. So, all right, all right. But uh, I always kept it separate when dealing with the cases and working on things. And, for many years, I never thought any of the kids were ever exposed to any of it. Then when we started doing Hunt the Collector, I found out my daughter Amy knew all kinds of shit that I did. Chris knew all kinds of stuff that I did. And it amazed me. And my wife even got interviewed at one point, and she'd go, I remember when he would come back home and he'd be shaking in the bed.
Yeah.
And I go, you never talked about that. You never brought that up.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I knew to leave it alone. If you wanted to talk about it, you would talk about it.
Right.
It's like, oh, all right, well. So anyhow, I've always kept all that separate. All right, it's funny now, but it wasn't at that time. Good friend calls me up. I had Debbie and Larry over here. He's a priest. She's a psychic. Anyways, we were over here. We were working on something. Get a telephone call from a truck driver. He said, my friend's possessed. My friend's got all kinds of shit going on. I don't know what to do. And I go, well, where are you? He goes, I'm on 95 in Stratford, Connecticut. One of my friends said you lived here. I go, you're a mile away from me. Come on over. Comes over, brings the kid in, brings the guy in. Big, freaking hulky truck drivers, right? So anyways, Larry, I go, Larry, do your mojo over him. Do some prayers over him. And, hopefully that'll help him. The freaking guy went under, right? Freaking tearing up the room. My other room was a classroom at that point. Breaking things. I'm standing there going, man, why you got to tear my house up, right? And he's just breaking stuff. The other guy had him by the back of his shirt, holding him up in the air. Then Larry kicked in and did, a full exorcism and everything. Then he got it all to calm down. And, I turned and looked. I had the door open. There's my son over at the rail like this, just looking in the room. I'm like, oh, wow. And Then my son, I go, Chris, I didn't know, you were out there. He goes, are you people done playing around now? He said, you had a telephone call. But
Wow.
so he got exposed. He talks about it every once in a while. He goes, yeah, he goes, yeah, that's why none of us would ever go out into, the back building where my father was, because you never know what the hell's going on back there.
And then they came on the show with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they decided to come on the show, which was real. I loved the investigating part of it, even though you guys were like trying to get down to the bottom of it. These people were desperate. By the time you were coming in, they had already had paranormal people come in and try to get. And then it was like it had to be an item. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember. There was another episode I remember that you guys were doing an investigation, and you were drawn to a certain area in the house, and I can't remember how you found it, but the way you found it was just, it wasn't in plain sight. I don't know if it was a key or a locket or something like that. It was like behind a picture frame or like up in the wall somewhere. You guys had found it. I
Again, too, there were a lot of crazy,
it was one of the coolest episodes because of the way you guys found it. It was the same thing with the pistol. Like you didn't just walk in and go, oh, it's got to be this old ass item you have here. You know what I mean? Like this thing was a necklace or
You're talking about the locket in Florida, the Florida case. I believe that was the King House.
yeah, like it was like something that you guys found.
They, they found it inside the heating system up in the wall.
That's okay, yeah, and it was
I'm
like
remembering all that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Then
that
we
was
started
so cool.
researching, and I guess if I'm trying to remember if she drowned. Christ, I can't even. I don't remember if she drowned or what had happened, but I remember we had to throw the locket in the water,
Yes,
and it was pretty crazy episode, but
that was, but it was a
yeah,
really cool episode. It
yeah,
was
again too with a lot of them, the intent and purpose with me was always to try and get someone to understand stuff. To go in, you got to research, you got to dig in, you got to look for the things you normally won't look for.
right,
You just have to do that. And when we would do that, I would, you know, go in and walk around, and they go, "Well, the activity was over here, so we're filming over there." I go, "No, go in that room there.
right.
That's where you're going to get more stuff." And it got to the point where the producers just gave up arguing with me, and they go, "Just do what he says, so we'll shut the hell up." They will tell you that. They go, "We don't know how he knows it or how, because he couldn't have researched any of it because he didn't know that much." But certain areas and certain things, we would get stuff, and it would be super cool, EVPs or different things, and Bri would start poking around with stuff, and be able to find an item or find stuff or tie something in. So a lot of times it was pretty cool. It was so controversial when that show came out. We got freaking shredded. I was the biggest thief going. I was able to handle it okay because I was used to it. I mean, again, I watched NRA get shredded, so it didn't phase me. But it bothered me for Brian and Beth and Jesslyn and Chris and Amy because those guys really weren't used to it to that point.
Right.
And then they would be reading the different things, and again, it was like, guys, we're going on TV. I said, you have to get used to it. People are going to do this. Now, when that came back in the reruns, we did better ratings in the reruns than we initially did. Why? Because now it was already out there. People were collecting. People were, starting things. I mean, look at it today.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Zach Bagans has one of the biggest paranormal museums in existence.
Right.
It's the biggest attraction in freaking Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So, again, look at where it came just in this past 12 years. It's amazing.
And you started it.
Yes, I was the rebel on that one. I admit it. I fought. I argued. I kept telling the network executives, the executives, I said, I am going to get freaking shredded. My family's going to get shredded. Oh, you read too much into it. You read too. I said, you don't understand this community. I do. And
Right.
then when everything started happening, they're going, how did you know that? I said, well, it has nothing to do with being freaking psychic. I watched, when the newspapers used to come out or something and watch the Warrens get shredded. I said, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, again, I'll take it on my shoulders too. So
Beth is asking, what is the most scariest experience that you have had at a private location?
that would be this one case we worked on for 4 years straight, and it took 16 exorcisms to free the woman. It was one of the most intense cases that I ever worked on. It just didn't fit the norm. A little tiny thing, 99 pounds soaking wet. She'd go into possession, rip freaking rooms up, and just, it was I watched her turn in to crawling on the floor. She ripped a freaking pew up out of the church floor in a straitjacket. I mean, I witnessed this. Other people had to. So that was probably one of my most intense cases because when she would go under, it was just totally amazing. I watch her throw people right off her, big hulky people. So again, if it was psychological, man, she did a number on all of us. But
Right.
again, that was one of my most intense cases. With uh, seeing a person that was legitimately going into what we call true possession.
Right.
True possession is the hardest to work with. Why? Because it goes in and out of an individual. So that if the person is being delivered or exercised, it can leave, then it can come right back in. So it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So, and I think the other one, again, too, is controversial as it's turned into over all these years, haunting in Connecticut.
Right.
Yep. People insist there was no exorcism. There was. I was there. There were three priests. It was sanctioned by the Diocese of Hartford. That priests weren't going to go public. They never went public. They came in the back of the house in regular street clothes and we changed into their garb. So I laugh when I hear a lot of these different things. They'll say there were no priests in there. Well, I was right there when they were there. I knew two of them,
Right.
from you know, working around it and being around them and being around uh, the Warrens. So it happened. It occurred. But anyways, that's where I seen something come down the staircase. It was stinky. It was big. It was ugly looking. Did that occur? Yeah, it happened. Scared the crap out of me. I left the house for 3 days. Did I go back? Yes. A bishop finally called, Bishop McKenna. My uncle called him. He goes, Johnny won't talk to nobody. He won't talk to nobody. I don't know what to do. Bishop got on the phone. I talked to him. I told him all about it. I said, I'm freaking done with this shit. And he didn't say anything. Then he goes, are you going to let it win? I go, what the freak does that mean? He goes,
Right.
you're scared to go back. You don't want to go back and help that family. You're letting it win. Well, son of a gun, he was right. He was right. Did I go back into the haunting in Connecticut 3 days later? Yes. Was I freaking scared? Yes. I'm not going to tell you I wasn't. I was.
Right.
But went back 2 weeks later. The exorcism was performed. It was successful. The Snedekers stayed there for a few more weeks. Their lives were shredded. They packed up. They moved down south and went into hiding.
Right.
That's the truth of the haunting in Connecticut.
Right. I had a dream one night. Now, I think this is the closest I've ever come to anything with what you deal with, but I don't even know because again, I was sleeping. However, I had this dream. It was very vivid, and I remember I was in this big house, and it reminded me of I can't remember the movie off the top of my head, but it was one of those like the scary movies where the girl hit the remember the it was the movie where the woman um people are gonna know what this is, but I wanna say it might have been like a Twilight Zone type of a movie or something like that, but she hit the kid with the bike and she took the kid home and she went in the house with them. They were like making dinner and they were watching cartoons and the one girl went into the cartoon. Um, It was a scare. It was one of those like scary movies. It was weird, but anyway, the house that I was in reminded me of that house, and there was a woman and and two children. I don't know who they were. I could see them. I could probably draw pictures of them, but I've never seen them in my life. And I said, "You stay here. I have to fight this demon. I have to fight it, or else it's not going to leave you alone." And all I remember is it was humongous. And I remember seeing the color green, and I remember seeing the color black. I didn't see its face. I just remember seeing this big huge thing. And I literally fought this thing, and somehow I won. I don't know how I won, but I won. And I looked at those two people, and I looked at the woman, I go, "You guys are safe, but I have to leave because it's going to the next house. So I have to go to the next house and go get it." And I woke up, right? I woke up, I get out of bed. I woke up and I was like, "Holy crap, that was crazy." Right? I get up and I start to walk, and as I am walking, every muscle in my body hurt. Like, not to be too much information, but even walking and like the muscles in my chest, like as I was walking and my boobs were like going up and down, like the muscles in my chest area were hurting. My arms were hurting. My shins were hurting. My feet were hurting. It was literally like I had wrestled something in my sleep and used every single ounce of my strength. And I was
Mhm.
scared. I was scared about that because I was like, what the heck happened?
Well, you got to remember the majority of a lot of things that transpire come in our dream state. And because people will tell me that all the time, I was dreaming about this, and John, it was so real. Things occur and happen when we go into that REM zone that, again, I believe happen for the simple fact that it takes what very little bit of energy. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people tell me they had this crazy dream. They'll wake up and they got black and blues on them. You
Right.
know, or you know, just almost similar to what you're saying, where it's just so intense that their body was hurting and all these crazy things. I don't know exactly how or why it happens, but it does occur, and a lot of people have these quote unquote supernatural experiences while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
So again, you know, and it's hard for us to justify a lot of that stuff when
Right.
it occurs
Right.
because then we go, "Did that? No, that's my mind playing
Right.
tricks on me."
Right.
But there's a lot of people that these things occur to and happen, and that
Thankfully, that was the only time anything like that ever happened because then I
yeah,
was like, okay, I'm going to church because I don't know what that was. And like I said, I want nothing to do with anything like that.
yeah,
But I was sore for literally 3 to 4 days afterwards, and,
yeah,
like I said, when I first woke up, I was like, "Wow, that's really crazy," but I didn't feel anything until I got out of bed and I started walking around, I was like, my entire body hurt.
mhm,
Everything hurt, and I remember being so freaked out. I reached out to, at that time, this was how long ago it was. It was, back in like probably 2000 and like 11 or 12 because I was with Dave Giuliano's group. So like I called them because I was like, I was freaked out about it. I was like, what? I was like, what is this? And they said, they kind of like gave me some things to kind of like calm myself down and kind of
mhm,
like reset my the energy in my house and everything,
yeah.
and you know, but and luckily, knock on wood, nothing like that's ever happened again, because but do you find that people that are either super, super, super religious, this kind of stuff happens to, or the opposite? People that are so, I mean, because I don't think I've ever heard of like an atheist ever having any issues spiritually, like, or having anything like this kind of stuff occur. Have you?
Very common.
Yeah.
That's what blows me out of the water, because you would think for the standard, the majority of the time that things occur, it's very religious people. But I've dealt with people that don't believe in organized religions. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in anything, but they still end up falling victim to quote unquote, paranormal experiences in the house, or they got something going on with them. A lot of times you'll find those people all of a sudden go, now I got to look at things and look at it differently. because now I went through that and had that experience. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to become very serious religious people. No,
Right.
but
Right.
it does alter them to take a look at it.
Yeah.
So it happens to both, believe it or not.
Yeah. I find that's the most difficult with private cases because once somebody has something in their head, because that whole the mind is such a powerful thing, and then when you're going into a private home and you're trying to help these families and you're trying to help these people, once they have in their head that this is what's happening and you're trying to say, "Okay, well, let's take a step back. Let's look at it in a different way." Well, I had a case I was unable to help her because she was just so she wouldn't listen to anything else. She just wanted me to say that there was
Mhm.
evil happening, and I was like, No." But she was so convinced, and now you have to pass it on because it was out of my I couldn't help her myself. I was like, somebody else has got to help you because I can't help you. I've tried.
Yeah.
Because, you have to be careful with private cases too. I mean, you have to really know what you're doing.
Again, that's not an unusual um, with situations. Today we're in a totally different environment. I'm more guarded now than I've ever been. You don't know what to expect, what's going to end up happening. I know horror stories that researchers had to go through with dealing, with people on a legal battle just because they went in and were trying to help somebody, and psychologically they're claiming they made it worse. And but anyhow, when I deal with this, a lot of times where I'll be working on a case and there's nothing I can do, I can't fix that person. That's not our job.
Right.
If they're not going to a psychiatrist or therapy, or they're not on meds or something, all that stuff's got to get checked out. And a
Yeah.
lot of these people won't do that.
Yeah.
They just won't do. And there's nothing. At that point, you have to be smart enough and wise enough to walk away.
Right.
It's not. Oh, I couldn't help them. I don't. No, you're not there to fix them. You're there to find out what the problem is.
Right.
And then again, that's what you have to do. And if you need to walk, I can't tell you how many times somebody will call me up and go, John, I heard you were helping so and so and you walked away from it. Why did you walk away from it? Why? Short and sweet of it. Freaking ticky ticky tock tock. I can't fix that. So again, that's the bottom line. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
If
Um,
somebody says to me they want to go, okay, yeah, they're going to go for counseling or they're going to go for therapy or something like that, will I still try to help them at that point in time and they're doing that? Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alex is asking, being that you have traveled the world, what is the most haunted place you've ever been?
Oh, England, Scotland. I mean, again, I think the most, I'm trying to remember what island it was when we were in Hawaii. I went to the Valley of the Kings and I was very fortunate. I hooked up with somebody in the little town, and they go, oh, yeah, they knew who I was and everything. They go, we'd like to take you. You want to go there tonight? Oh, heck yeah, let's go. I mean, it was wild. It was like drums were beating and trees were moving. I mean, it was just freaking weird. They were doing a little ritual and these things were happening, and it was the Valley of the Kings. For the life of me, I can't remember what island it was, but that that was pretty cool. England and Scotland, the other countries view things so much differently than we do.
Yeah.
And years ago, going over and experiencing it over there, if you don't have a ghost in the house, there's something wrong with you. Everybody's got a freaking ghost. Everything's freaking haunted in England and Scotland, and they talk about, oh yes, well it's like nothing, Aunt Tilly's here, we're having tea with it. They think nothing of it.
Wow. Yeah.
Here, people freak out. Not as much now, but
Right.
people would freak out, especially years ago. So again, we view it a lot differently. That was really a eye opening experience. My very very first time going over to England and Scotland and going into those notorious haunted locations and just hearing the people talk so nonchalantly about it. It's amazing, totally
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Um, do you find like was there a lot of the negative stuff over there too? Was it a lot more?
I found Puerto Rico to be an area where a lot of dark practices took place. I got exposed to a lot more being over to Puerto Rico due to the cases we were involved with. So I got to meet a lot of different people at different levels were practicing things, if you will.
Right.
And with a lot of the islands and different cultures, they revere and respect a lot of different rituals where here people would freak out. You know,
Right.
they did the different things and you're watching it. I respect a lot of that. I
Right.
like seeing it. I've like, watching at different things. Do I want to do it? Oh, hell no. No, there's a lot of things I don't know. I will not do or get involved with. I know once you let your guard down, and again, you got to be guarded. You got to be careful with. There's a difference between gaining knowledge and learning a lot of these different practices and things in comparison to getting directly involved with it and
Right.
practicing it. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't Alex is saying, what about New Orleans?
Crazy. It is freaking crazy down there with stuff. That's their culture. That's their belief system. Being down there again, when we were filming and doing different things, I got involved with a lot of different areas and different things that were just so cool to witness and watch. Worked on cases down there over the years too that were hardcore with a lot of the practices in the bayous and things. Totally different realm of the way people handle things and the way they react to things.
But it's good that you know all those different things because then you can help people from all different belief systems and all different religions and all this, and you know what I mean? Like, um, which I think is amazing. I mean, I'm just an investigator. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, yeah, I like the Casper cases. I like the haunted locations. I'll help a private home, but um, I'll help a private home when it's Casper. Anything past that is just I just don't feel that I am educated enough, or nor do I have, the knowledge to be able to help anything past that. So of course I would reach out to other people to help out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. But
Yeah, but see, there's nothing wrong with that. That's to me is a right move to take that approach when looking at anything. I
right,
mean, still situations with me. I'll call a lot of my old time, spiritual people that I worked with, and say, hey, you know what? I'm dealing with this and that, and tell them and explain all the different things to them. And again, I'll go again. I'm trying to figure out. All right, I can get involved with somebody that is pagan or Wiccan, and they might be having reverse things that they got involved with. Well, naturally, I'm going to call, one of my friends. I got a lot of witchy poo friends. I don't care. I got a ton of them. Voodoo practitioner people.
yeah,
And calling them and asking them and advising them. And if I feel they can go in and be able to do something with that individual because of their belief systems or practices, that's fine. That's cool as long as they got the help. That's how I look at it.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, Last question before I let you go. Um, is there anywhere you haven't been that you want to go?
The pyramids, Greece, Italy. Um, Again, those are a lot of the things that are on my bucket list. That I would like to,
I mean,
see.
like, do you find that just the Casper cases, I'm gonna use the wrong verbiage, but I'm just gonna, for lack of better description. The Casper cases, are they as fun as like, I don't say fun, because the negative cases aren't fun, but I mean,
Interesting.
like, are the Casper cases boring compared to when you're dealing with the negative cases?
No. If anything, I would prefer the human spirit cases.
Yeah.
If you're able to bring closure for someone, let's say it's a tragedy. Okay, I'm working with a woman. Her husband was a cop. He got killed, and there's paranormal activity going on. And is he trying to communicate something? Is he trying to get something across to her and his children? Okay, bring psychics in, bring mediums in, whatever you need to do to be able to bring that spirit forward and bring that information to the forefront to get delivered to who it needs to get delivered to and bring some type of closure. To me, that is more rewarding than anything in the world because I was able to do something to help not only Casper the ghost, but help the family.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
again, that's very rewarding. I don't gloat on it. I have, I could care, less about gloating, but sitting back and going that, okay, I was able to help that woman and her kids. To me, it
Right.
was an important element right there.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
he was able to get his information across that he wanted to get across to him. That's what I tell people, watch that movie Ghost. That
Oh,
thing has so much factual stuff in it, it's not even funny.
it's crazy. I'm gonna say this. I use this sometimes when I talk to private houses because when a lot of people are like, "Well, it tried pushing me down the steps," and I'm like, "You can't see it.
No.
If it wanted to push you down the steps, you'd go flying down the steps. There's no trying about it." And I always say, "Have you ever seen the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze when he's in the subway and he's trying to kick the can?" And he's trying, and then all of a sudden he
Yeah.
uses all of his might, he kicks it, and the can goes flying across the subway. It's
Yeah.
not that that can was purposely trying to hit somebody. It's
Yeah.
I was like, so they maybe just try, hey, 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 and you're not paying attention, or you're not feeling it, or you're not paying attention. You know?
Because everybody today is looking at the quote unquote the hot spots, the cold spots, the EVPs. They're more interested in getting the cameras all set up, and 99% of the time, people miss the aha moment.
Yeah.
I see it time and time. People say to me all the time, they go, "You drive us nuts when you're on a case because you just walk around, you're talking to the people," and I go, "Because I want the feel of what it's about.
Yes.
I want that first. Is there's is an element that has nothing to do with capturing the evidence, and a lot of times, yes, there's a simple reason to try and communicate or get some information across. That to me is the most important thing. Here, I love sharing this one story. We got involved with this one couple. They were married for like 80 years, give or take. He passed away. Their anniversary came around, and a heart was burnt in their front lawn. It was summertime. It was hot, but and he would always, always give her cards with hearts. He would sign everything with hearts on it,
My
and
goodness.
it was their anniversary, and it showed up in the grass. A heart burnt into it.
Oh,
How freaking freaky is that?
that's awesome. I know it is free. And it's almost like one of the things you're like, am I
I mean,
really seeing this? Is this really happening?
again, it was one of those moments that you just stood there in amazement.
Yeah.
And, we got there a couple of days after it happened, and that was on their anniversary. That
Wow.
actually, you can't make this shit up.
No.
You can't. It
No.
occurred. It happened. He was getting a message across to her, and to let her know everything was okay, and he was crossing over. I got an old antique phone. Woman walks up to me. I couldn't talk about this. Couldn't talk about this. That phone rings every night, and it's him. It's him. He's bothering me. He's bothering me. And I'm like, what a beautiful story. You know, and she tells me the whole thing about it and everything like that. She goes, I don't want him around. I don't want him bothering me. I go, well, take the phone out. She goes, I'm going to send it to you. It's an old rotary phone, right? She sent it to me, and everything stopped in the house. She calls me and she tells me, and I go, "Well, don't you miss him calling every night?" She said, "I couldn't stand him when he was alive. I don't want him bothering me when he's dead." You can't. I'm telling you, these stories you can't make them up.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
love it.
and I laughed so hard when she said that to me. I couldn't stand him when he was alive. I don't want him around now when he's dead.
That's so funny. That's so cute. That's
Yeah,
adorable.
yeah, yeah.
Um, April wants to know when you're frightened by the unexplained, it's hard to think rationally. And those in your field that can process it and help those that can't. Wait, I don't know if I read that right. When you're frightened by the unexplained, it's hard to think rationally. It's those
Mhm.
in your field that can process it and help those that can't. Yeah. Now I got it. Sorry. Um, I I want to petition to try to get into the White House.
Oh, I'm going with you. If we have to
I will
walk,
bring you with me,
I
John.
will walk down there if I have to.
I
That's
will
like
bring you.
I would. Jeff Blanchard was fortunate enough that he got in there.
I know.
That stinker, because he called me up and he says, "Guess where I got in?" I go, "Oh, well." I said a lot of other words too, but anyhow, it was so cool because he did the book on it and everything. Jeff, he's another one. I've known him since he's
Love
a
Jeff.
freaking. I've known him since he's a kid.
I love
He
Jeff.
said to me, he goes, "Johnny, you don't even realize how long I know you." And I looked at him, I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Many, many years ago when I was doing an interview when I was in high school, you were in the kitchen with Lorraine. You were as thin as a twig. You had long, long hair all the way down your back. And you and Lorraine were arguing back and forth over something." I go, "All right, well, yeah, that's true." And I go, "Jeff, I can't remember it." He goes, "As all as I can remember is how skinny you were and your hair was all the way down your back."
I
I
love
go, "That's true." Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah. Great person. Great person.
Love Jeff. Uh,
Yep. So,
uh,
anyways, that stinker got in there.
yeah, lucky duck.
I know. I know.
Well,
Uh,
I have had you for is that wait a minute. I don't have my glasses on. So has it been an hour and a half already?
yeah. 10:07. 10:07.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And
yeah, you were great. And I'm going to see you. I'll see you tomorrow or Friday or whatever. I mean, I'm going to
you're
see.
going to see me within 24 hours.
I am. It's going to be so awesome.
I know. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, Gettysburg is Gettysburg is my heaven. When I die, that's where I'm going. So that's going to be where I'm going to haunt. I'm going to live at the Eisenhower farmhouse. That's where I'm going to be forever.
Well, again, it just goes back so many years when Dana used to do them there.
Yeah,
Dana
yeah,
Winger, again, that's why I think so many of us feel so comfortable, with Pam and Steve doing it there.
yeah.
It's old hollow grounds for so many of us.
Oh
And
yeah,
I say that to everybody. I go, it's just like going back, so many years ago, and it's just a good feeling. They put on a good event, and I enjoy it.
yeah. Absolutely, it's going to be great. And and what better place but Gettysburg? Gettysburg is just
I love Gettysburg. I've been going down there for so many years, and
yeah.
so many of the locations. I know the people that own them, and again, it's just so cool to go down there. I love it down there.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody that's going to be going. And again, John, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for openly talking about Annabelle and and all this and that and everything we talked about. I appreciate you. You've been you're a pioneer for our field. You've done so much for the field, and I love you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, um, I try to share what I can. I try to, help as many different people as I can out there. I enjoy getting together, talking with all you guys. I enjoy sitting having beers with all you guys. I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
yeah, it's
So we will be seeing you in, I'm sure, a little about no less than 24 hours, kiddo.
less than 24 hours,
All right, we will see you tomorrow, my friend.
All right, good night.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good
Take care.
chatting. Thanks. I'll talk
Thanks.
to you soon.
Bye bye.
What a great guy. I love him so much. Again, everybody, please share out, not for me, share it out for John. And, join me. I have one more show before I am off to Las Vegas and I'm getting married August 9th. So I have one more show and then I'm off for a couple weeks. And, but anyways, I want to thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you everybody for watching. I love y'all. I love you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week. Next week I have Andrew Darling coming on to talk about his dinos. A little something different for Paranormal Brew, but we're going to be talking dinosaurs and paranormal next week. So make sure you turn in for that. But until then, sweet dreams, my little brewskis. Love yous.